Basically, the way this comp works is that you swirl Xingqiu's Hydro with Kazuha Burst to get more consistent vapes with Hu Tao because the Kazuha Burst applies Hydro 2 now. Then you use the Amber Burst for whoever your Pyro is to apply Pyro afterwards and swirl it with Kazuha Heat E. That way you get the double swirl to buff both Xingqiu and Hu Tao while still keeping the Hydro application up. I tried to be a bit cheeky here with my application because I saw that there was the Pyro Monument and I was trying to think I could swirl Pyro off that, but I got unlucky, didn't work out, it's too bad. Remember, as Hu Tao, it's important to try to use your charge attacks to knock enemies into each other to keep them grouped up for AoE damage. I was dumb here and forgot to use my burst at the end of my E, don't be like me. Geovishaps will always jump towards you, so you can use this time to apply your elements, get your prototype crescent headshot or whatever, and they'll just jump into the middle and you can just do your combo there. It makes it pretty straightforward to beat mobs involving Geovishaps, and not much else to say about this. It's pretty straightforward. I chose Childe Vape just because I don't really care about the Hydro mimics since Xiangling would probably one-shot them anyways. Again, for Childe Vape, your normal rotation is going to be apply Hydro and Pyro if you can double swirl. Otherwise, you're just going to swirl Pyro because Xiangling's damage matters more. Use your Bennett burst, use your Xiangling burst, go to Childe. Make sure you do the range burst for the energy recharge, and then stay in melee form for about 8 to 10 seconds. So swap out of your melee form right before the Pyronado ends. At the start of the Magu Kenki, even though it can't be damaged, you should still probably hit it anyways just for the energy, unless you're already full energy, or maybe even just apply the elements and buffs that you need to apply for swirls or whatever. You can see me doing this right now just because I need energy for my Hu Tao's Shimenawa effect. And be careful about what bursts you use at the start, because remember that it can't be damaged if you get it under like 80% HP at the start, because it needs to do the phase change first. Remember that Xingqiu's rain swords apply an aura of Hydro around you that applies Hydro if you walk too close to enemies. So when you swirl Pyro with Kazuha, you have to dash away a little bit just to make sure the Hydro isn't applying to the enemy, just to ensure you actually swirl the Pyro instead of Hydro. I actually think I dashed a bit too far, so I'm not sure if I get the correct Pyro swirl here, but you can still see the amped Hu Tao Vape damage is pretty insane. This next chamber is really dangerous, and I even had to re-record this because I died on my first attempt to the auras. So there's two auras you have to deal with. Underneath your feet, you'll see the Krauss-Seisen mage try to summon an ice cage. If you dodge at the last second, you can avoid being trapped by the cage. But if you are trapped by the cage, you'll take massive damage for dodging or making any kind of movement inside the cage. You can use your burst to sort of invulnerability through the cage, but the cage lasts 3 seconds, so you better be careful to dodge it. And the easiest way to do this is every 13 seconds, the Krauss-Seisen mage spawns the cage. So you could just subtract 13 seconds off the timer from when you start. And when you hit that time, you get to look at your feet and dodge the last second, or use your burst when the cage spawns. It also spawns 10 seconds after the last one disappears because the cage lasts 3 seconds. So you could just look at the timer for 10 seconds since the last one disappeared for the same thing. The Mirror Maiden will have a Hydro Aura that will spawn bubbles around you every like 12 or 13 seconds, but they last a lot longer, so you can't really just wait it out. You can choose to stand still, but that might not be the best idea either. You could use an AoE skill to blow up all the bubbles around you, or you could just, walk around them, but that's probably the riskier and hardest option to do. So just pay attention to the time, and every 12 or 13 seconds, get ready to deal with the bubbles however you want. I'm not gonna lie, this floor 12 is pretty hard. The DPS check on this one is pretty high, and a compounder of the auras that you have to dodge. It's pretty insane, especially because of this flying thing. I hate seeing it because it means like Xiao and Kazuha are massively gimped, and I don't know how you people do it with like Xiao. So, you know, leave a comment below if you do. Tell me your strategy, because, you know, I can't do this thing with Xiao unless I play like Ganyu on the same team to like knock it off the sky. It's so hard. But anyways, yeah, my damage is a bit low because I can't get the Kazuha E to double swirl, but you know, it's all good anyways. And I think the more important thing is this Geo Aura. The Geo Aura periodically spawns this rectangle that's drawn from the enemy with the aura onto you. It puts out 2 lines of rocks that will hit you for massive damage. You should probably try to avoid these at all costs, either by running out of the rectangle or just using your burst to tank through it. Either way, I would really recommend you just use your burst, because the DPS check is pretty insane, and when the DPS check is high, I just think rotations, it doesn't matter if you can't get them right, just always cast something, you know, because like, even if you don't get the perfect buffs on all your hits and stuff like that, the damage loss from just running around doing nothing, waiting to get your rotation back up or trying to figure out what your rotation is supposed to be, that is way much higher of a DPS loss than like just getting your rotation wrong. Because, you know, you're still putting damage out there, you're still dodging, and it's so much better than just running around scared doing nothing. You see my Venti isn't really doing much here. Like, I try to get the Pyro aura onto the burst just so I can get the energy refund, but you know, it's not really working out. And if you really want to be optimal, if you're struggling, there's nothing wrong with leaving the Abyss and then like coming back with a different team. Maybe you can't 3-star the chambers you already 3-starred, whatever, it doesn't matter. It still counts your best score. So if you can change your team around to match a specific floor, a specific chamber, sorry, better, and target out the specific chamber of the team combo, just 3-star every chamber 1 by 1, you know, that's perfectly fine, and you guys should probably do that. Here, I'm basically playing with 3 units because Venti is useless. And of course, with the Geo Aura, you can just run through the rocks that are sliding onto you, because you know, you still have your iframes and you can iframe through them.